Okay, this is a little bit of a warning for people who don't like dirty hands. Now through this video you will see these dirty hands. Unfortunately I can't do nothing about them, but the simple reason is we had a little accident with some black dye. So if dirty hands offend you, you don't have to watch the video, but if you're okay with dirty hands, enjoy the video. Hi everybody, welcome back to part 9. Very quick overview before we get cracked on. Now last time we put all the copings on, well the brick copings on the gable ends, and we actually got the doors done. And moving round to the doors, and then keen-eyed people might have noticed I put an extra set of hinges on. The two, it just didn't look right, so I made another setup and put them in the middle, which I'm a lot more happier with. Now we're not going to linger on this too much, so what I'm actually going to do now is put you on pause because I want to put the base down. I've actually cut the base out and I'll run through the direction that I'm going with the whole build. So I'll put you on pause and I'll be back with you in a second. So my base, now the base has been cut from a piece of 80mm MDF and the diameter of it is 500mm, so it's quite a big base, and my young lady did ask me if I was making her a new coffee table, but that's another story. But it just gets this barn on, as you can see, it just fits, giving me ample space around it to actually put other items. Now the plan for this is it's going to be on a turntable which is motorized, and it does do a full revolution every 45 seconds, so I think that will probably be just enough to turn the whole thing so you can view it from all angles. Moving up from that, plan on the actual base is that we're actually going to do a soil line all the way around the base here, about 20 mil, probably somewhere around there, but we will sort that out when we actually get to it. A quick breakdown of how this is all going to be put together. Now to start off with, once the base is done, vehicles and figures that are going onto this. To start off with, if you remember, I did do the little generator that will be going on the outside. Then I'm going to be putting some sort of discarded cart on this bit here under grass and weeds and things like that. The actual inside, I'm going to go for a panther. I've got a tiger here. I know it's not a panther, but it will give you sort of an idea of how this is going to be built up. The panther will be going inside, and then A-frame, the engine doors will be open, the engine will be half in, half out. There will be mechanics working on different bits and pieces actually in the rest of it. So there's going to be benches, there's going to be tools, pulleys and chains, and just a general workshop area inside there. Moving up, I'm going to be putting German troops at rest in this top half. I've already ordered a set of Stalingrad German figures at rest, which I'm going to be using in the top, and that's roughly this side. That's how it's going to work. Knocking the place about. Going round to the front face on, there's not going to be a lot going on here because we've got this big block, the doors, and we've actually got the front of the tank. But what I'm intending to do is camouflage netting to sort of soften this, that there is a actual vehicle being repaired in this building. So that's going to be going on there, probably with a few boxes, stores outside, but we'll just keep adding bits and getting it well, just keep adding bits until I get it right, I suppose. Moving to the far side, now we've got a nice big blank empty wall. My intentions is to put a breakdown vehicle. I know this is not a breakdown vehicle, but IBG, which is the same manufacturer of the Bedford, it's the same size, so I'm going to have a breakdown vehicle, probably some guys, bits and pieces on this side, might even have a few troops shaving, washing, and bits and pieces like that. And then when we move round to the back, not too much going on here, probably a few boxes, troops on the stairs, probably some guards or something out the bottom here. So that's the whole way this is going to be built up. So that just gives you a general idea in which direction we're going. So the next step is what we're going to get on with. So to start off with, we're going to get on with cutting a hole at the top here, putting a beam in that sticks out, because I want to do a pulley with some rope coming down, as they would have used that to drop hay and things down from this actual loft. So we're going to be cutting a hole in there to start off with. We're going to be doing the door linings, and we'll be making the actual doors up for both ends. These doors will be opening outwards, so we will be making some more little hinges to suit the doors. We'll be doing the same on the back. We'll probably be actually having this door, I won't go around too much further, the barrel of the Tiger is catching things. We'll do exactly the same here, but the actual door will be opening outwards on that. So with that, I'm going to get this all broken down again and put you on pause, and we'll get started on that. Now we're going to be doing the door linings and the actual door. Now there's one little job I want to do before I start on them, and I actually want to put a beam about 4 courses up. I want to cut a hole in here and insert a beam so it actually sticks out, so I can put a pulley on it with a rope, and the theory being that it will be supporting the camouflage netting that will be hanging over the 2 doors. So in Great Blue Peter fashion, I've already made one, so we'll take a quick look at that and what I used to make it, and then we'll get on and we'll actually get it fitted. One little pulley, not technical to put together, but just fiddly. What I've used is a piece of styrene, which I've just roughly rounded up, and some PE frets, the bits that you get at the end, and I've just simply folded that round the circle, crimped it up on the top, and then I've drilled a hole through the top. That was a 1mm, and I'd roughly sort of drilled to the centre of that disc. I pushed a piece of wire through that, and then I used some of the Ming nuts and bolts, just the heads, very handy, and I've just put one of them either side, just to sort of indicate that there is a bolt head. The hook is made from some it's 0.6 wire, which I've just actually pushed through the timber, and I've done the same with the bolt head. I've put a small washer on the top and one of the bolt heads just to finish it off, and personally I think it looks pretty cool. I'm quite happy with that. So you've seen the pulley, so I'm going to get on now. I'm going to drill this hole and we're going to get this fitted. Hole's been cut. I've squared it up just using a file and my little Tamiya saw when I bring it into shot. So it's ready to take the piece of timber, and all we're going to do is slide it in like that. So that is the finished job. Now if we go inside, if we can get in there and the camera's going to see, as you can see, that timber comes right underneath the spreader bar. So all I'm going to do now is just glue that all in place, and that is a good job. So I shall get that glued in place and just tidied up, and then when we come back we'll get started on these door frames. Okay, moving on to the door liners. Now I'm not going to do anything special here. I've got some, this is 5mm by 1.5, and I'm simply going to go from bottom, or top to bottom, bottom to top, whichever way you would like to do it. And I'm just going to put one piece that side, one piece that side, and that's it. And then we'll make a door to actually fit that opening. I'm going to do the far end as well, so I'm just going to measure that up now, get it cut and get it glued in. Now the door liners, or door frames, whichever way you would like to call them, have been fitted both ends, and you may have noticed just down the bottom here I've put a piece of sill in. Now it's a little bit debatable if they would have put a sill in, if they would have just left it as brick, but me being me, it just finishes it off, so I put a little piece of sill in, and that's the same thickness of the it's 1.5, but this is 6mm wide, just giving that little extra bit just to stick out. Nothing too special, but I feel it just finishes it off. Now we've got the two frames put in both ends, it's time to move on to the doors. Now I've been rummaging through my stuff, and I found that these 4 pieces will make the width of the door up, so I'm quite happy about that. That will fit all the way through. So what we'll do now is we'll go back down to the bench and we'll run through assembling a couple of doors. Now we have the little template that I made up earlier to make the actual barn doors with. Now we can use this straight away, very simply, because all we need to build these doors with is the right angle, so we can use this as it sits. Now I'm going to put a piece of timber as a guide for the bottom, a bit like that. And like that. We put another piece along the side there. Like so. And now that's given us our right angle to start making our door. Now I do know the height of the door because it's 58mm, which I will already have a pencil mark there. So all we need to do now we've got that done, is I need to get these 4 pieces of wood cut to 58mm to start building my door. So I'm going to get those cut, and I'll be back with you in a second. Okay, I've got my bits all cut down to 58mm, and all we're going to do is run a little bit of glue along the edge and just glue them all together. So that's the first one. Like so. So that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to glue these together, wait for them to dry, and then I shall actually come back to you before I put the rails on. So that bit goes into there, like so. Well, you get the general gist, so I shall be back with you very shortly. Now the next bit is just putting the rails on. I've already cut these to size, which will be putting only 2 on this, one at the top and one at the bottom. And the distance I'm going to set it from the bottom is going to be the width of one of the rails, so I'm just going to glue that one there, and the same distance from the top, like so. Then I'm going to glue that one across there and leave them to dry, and then I'll come back to you. Glued the top rail on and the bottom rail on, and as you may have noticed, I've also put one in the middle. Simple reason being, when I glued the top and the bottom on, it just didn't look right to me, so I put one in the middle, so no big problems. Next thing to do, we're going to do these cross members. So all I'm going to do is mark up there and there, cut it across at an angle, and in great Blue Peter fashion I've already got 2 cuts which will be glued. One goes there and the other one will go in there like that. Now I'm going to get them glued in, and I shall finish the door off as well, the same. Then I'll come back and we'll get some hinges fitted. Now both doors have been completed, and before I move on, well, attempt to show you how to make the hinges that I'm going to use for this, I'm just going to give this a quick coat of wash, my 50-50 mix of the brown and the 50-50 mix of the black, and I'm just going to give them a wash over because they are rather sort of bright at the moment. So I'm going to get on with that. Then when I come back, we'll get on and make some hinges. Okay, now what I'm going to try and do is show you how I make these little hinges up. Now these little hinges are just there for show. They're not designed to open or close. They're designed to be fixed and just look like a hinge. And they're not too difficult, but they ain't difficult to make. But it's very difficult to video how I make them because of my big fingers. But we'll have a go. So that's what we're going to make. So I'm going to put you on pause and we'll have a go at showing you how I make them. Now, making the hinges. I've done this quite a few times now and none of them have been right. What you need to do is rummage through your spares box. This is my spare box of PE, and I found some of the outside frets, these bits here. They're roughly 2mm, which is an ideal size for the actual hinges. Cut that off, file the points down so you've got a nice flat piece of PE like so. Once you've got that, what we need to do is create the actual hinge bit at the end. Now I'm using some 1mm silvered copper wire. This is jeweler's copper wire, nothing too exciting. And all we do is very simply get our tweezers, and we just need to bend a little piece at the end just to take the wire. So I'm hoping you'll be able to see that. Yeah, there we go, just a little bend at the end, and then we get ourselves a piece of silver wire. We lay that into the little recess that we've made without knocking it back out, like so, and then just solder it in. Nothing too mad. I'm hoping that's still in shot, because and just hold your soldering iron on, and there we go. Leave that to cool. Things are rolling off the table. Now, that has made us up like our little hinge. It's a little bit twisted, but we can twist that back into shape. That has now made our little end piece, and all we need to do now is, with a pair of snips, just snip that back, snip that end back like so, just to make out that it's a hinge, like so. Then we cut it to length. Well, we'll just cut this one to any length. I'll just do it like that. We'll cut it to length, and there you go. You've got a little hinge with a couple of rivets on the top of it. It's going to do the job fantastically. So that's how I make these little hinges. So with that, we'll get moved on. Now my doors have had a coat of wash, one brown, one black. We've completed the hinges, so all we're going to do now is we're just going to glue these hinges one at the bottom, one at the top, with just a slight overhang, so they just fit against the actual door frame. Nothing too complicated. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of these Ming nuts and bolts. One side you've got the nuts with the thread showing through, and on the other side you've actually got the bolt head. So I'm going to cut a few of these off. I'm going to put 3 bolt heads on one side and 3 of the nuts with the threads showing through on the other side, and that's then my doors complete, so I can get them fitted. Yeah, the doors are in, the hinges are on, everything's fitted. Well, they're not actually glued in, I've left them unglued because it does leave me options later on when we're doing the final sort of finishing off, should I say. One thing I have done though, on suggestion of a good mate Bob, he suggested just putting a little bit of timber in there as a support. All the pictures I've seen, they didn't have it, but I do have to admit, Bob, it does look a lot better, so that's been put in. I'm quite happy with that. Pulley's been finished off, well, not actually finished off, but we're going to need to put some string and other bits and pieces on that later on. And like I say, it's actually finished. This has actually finished the build-up, and we go around to the back. We've got the door on the back with the hinges. That's all good. I'm quite happy with that. So everything is complete. So it, like I say, it leaves it down to the weathering. So the next thing we're going to be moving on to, and it won't be in this video, I'm afraid to say, is I'm going to get started on the base so we can actually get this positioned and in place, and start actually getting some of the groundwork done, ready for the vehicles and everything else that's going to go into it. And talking about the vehicles, I need to get them ordered this week, so I can actually get started on them and build them so we can actually start placing things. I will run through what kits I've brought. We won't be doing the kit review, I'll do that on the other channel, but I will run through what I've brought to go on here. And that is about it for this video. So I'm going to say thank you very much for joining me. I'm sorry it's been a little bit drawn out just for a few items, but they needed to be finished off. I will do some pictures, stick them on the end, and all I can say now is thank you very much, and hopefully we will see you on the next one.